from the backstretch at historic Saratoga Racecourse. This is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow. Racing Across America is brought to you by Pinnell's Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, Saratoga, just minutes from the track. And the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany. When you can't make it to the track, make it to the Clubhouse Racebook.
Also brought to you by Wizard Race and Sports.
Good morning and welcome to Racing Across America on this Thursday morning, a lovely Thursday morning here in Saratoga. And adding to the loveliness, we're on the turf today. You got to like that. I don't know how that's going to play out over the next few days, but we can enjoy this Thursday, which again, a really nice day. Temperature-wise, great, sunny, and things are intact racing-wise. Coming up a little bit later on, she's on hiatus from PARX, and so I said, hey, Jessica Paquette, come on over. We'll talk with her about what's going on with her. She has a nice online jockey forum on mental health she did that you can catch online. We'll catch up on that and more with Jessica. A little bit later on, Kevin Cox, the Brooklyn Cowboy, will do some handicapping. But as always on a Thursday morning, daily racing forum time. Mike Welch, Dave Grening. This week, Dave Grening in the house. Dave, good morning.
How you doing?
Very good. And again, we're on the turf today. That's good news.
Yes, very good news. And it is a lovely day.
Yeah,
so we'll get that one in today anyway. I don't know what the rest of the weekend has in store for us.
We'll kind of keep our fingers crossed. Any notable, you guys are out doing the workouts, and we always tout the workout report, dailyracingforum.com. You get some good information that maybe some other folks don't have. So keep that in mind. Anything notable this morning out on the track?
Yeah, very notable. So starting off the day, Torpedo Anna moved up her workout, and she went really swiftly this morning, 59-2, out in 12 and change, up in 25 and change. And it got Kenny McPeak excited. He trotted out that line from the Oaks. They better bring a bear because I'm bringing a grizzly. So that's his he's recycling that quote. And if she recycles that performance, then he might be right. So she was sharp this morning. Dornock was also sharp this morning on the main track. She worked on the Oklahoma. Dornock worked 47 flat out a minute in company. They were looking to go 48, and he thought when he was looking at his watch, Danny Gargan, he thought maybe he was going 48, but the clock said different, 47. The track was a bit on the quick side this morning, so he went 47. Fierceness went 49 and change, galloped out very nicely. So big day for the Travers horses working, moving their works up. Some of them, Danny was planning to go today with Dornock, and the other guys, Todd and Kenny McPeak, moved theirs up with the impending weather.
And Kenny McPeak's been really good with Torpedo Anna as far as kind of alerting the public and hey, come on over, watch the workouts. And then he
except this morning.
Well, yeah.
he said he didn't know. He didn't know until 4:30.
Yeah,
it was funny. He said I was going to tweet it out, but I got really busy, and I said, yeah, I was looking at your Twitter feed, and I got there like right as she was kind of cruising by the 8th pole.
But he alerted people to the Pat schooling in the back the other day too. So that's fun because I think it's clearly a popular horse. Wanted to hit on some of the stories you had in the racing forum just recently. Yesterday was the halfway point, but coming into the halfway point after the first 19 days, you had an article about the handle, which is kind of flat. And
it's about the same. The handle's really almost dollar for dollar the same as it was at this point in time last year. It was up a considerable amount, and then last week's weather really took its toll, and then the decision obviously moved those races and cancel a lot of multi-race wagers on a Saturday kind of hurt. I think the handle for Whitney Day was down by a third. So that hurt. This is weather dependent and also decision dependent. And they're making a lot of decisions that they didn't make last year, which are in the best interest of the turf course and in their mind, the safety of the horses, including this weekend. We have a contingency plan in place in case they feel they can't run the Saratoga Derby or the 4-Star Dave on Saturday. They actually carded them again on Sunday as the last two races of the day. They won't be part of any horizontal wagers. They won't be part of the pick 4, pick 5, pick 6. But if they feel that they can't use the turf on Saturday, they'll run those two races as races 10 and 11 on Sunday. And Sunday's supposed to be a very nice day, so maybe they'll get you a better turf course. And I think horsemen, even though it's out of the box and it's a little different, and horsemen aren't great with out of the box and a little different, some of them are applauding this decision. It might be in the best interest of the horses and the race itself.
And again, people have to think, given what happened last summer, putting safety first is certainly a great idea. Also, you had an article out Brian Hernandez, Mike Venezia award winner, and I had Brian in earlier, great guy, and so I had kind of a deserving award.
Yeah, look, he's been one of the more underrated jockeys for a long time, and he's a very classy guy. He does a lot of behind the scenes and off the track stuff for charities and whatnot. So it's good that he's being recognized in both his on track endeavors with winning the Derby and the Oaks, and his off track endeavors with being very benevolent and a very classy guy. And it's good to see him getting his flowers, so to speak.
And finally, speaking of jockeys, that on the spree DQ, I was. They don't usually DQ on the turn, was my takeaway, because you don't get the head on there. You get the, but there was a DQ. But subsequently, Irad's getting a 3-day suspension.
There's 3 jockeys on suspension coming up. Javier Castellano is serving a 5-day suspension. Eric Cancel has 3, and Irad, as you mentioned, has 3. And there's been a change in these. Everyone used to get these suspensions, and they used to appeal them and then drop them in December when they were going on vacation. Anyway, that's been cut out. They've made a rule. I think it's more of a house rule. It might be a state rule. I'm not sure. That they're requiring the riders to take these suspensions at the meet that which they incur. Yeah. Katie Davis started off the meet on suspension based on a suspension she received at the end of last year's Saratoga meet, and all these guys here are now taking their days during the meet. In the case of Irad, and I know this is probably not as big a deal as it once was, but winning the title is kind of important. Yeah. But it can be when you win 5, like Irad has, it may not be as important. So he's got 3 days, which sort of opens the door for Flavian Pratt, who's only 2 behind, to maybe get that title. But yes, there are several jockeys under suspension.
And the rule is a good rule, because it used to be, let's appeal, and then, hey, I'm going to Bahamas for Christmas. I'll take my suspension.
I'll tack it on to the the break that we have already, and before I go to Florida, and I'll make a vacation.
So I kind of applaud that. Before we do a little preview on some of the stakes coming up, let's go back to last weekend, because we had some nice stakes action there. First up, let's take a look at the stretch run of the Whitney. Arthur's Ride backs up his big number in the previous race and throws his hat in the handicap division. I don't think has really defined itself yet. It's kind of like the 3-year-olds a little bit, but I think Arthur's Ride was impressive in the Whitney on Saturday.
Very impressive, and I was concerned for the wet track status, but every wet track is different, so you can't necessarily look at a horse's record on a wet track and say he likes it or he doesn't. We've seen that a lot of times. This horse didn't run a jump at Churchill Downs on a sloppy track, and this particular day, he looked like he was loving it, and he beat a pretty solid field, in my opinion, here. Now, National Treasure really didn't show up. Yeah. And he didn't get, he didn't show his customary speed, but Skippy Longstockings I thought was coming into the race very well, and Krupi's been running better and more consistent races. He's sort of a sit back, make that one run, and he's a check getter, maybe not the biggest check, but he did get in the Suburban, not the Brooklyn against Next. And then second here. But Arthur's Ride is a serious racehorse, and it looks like he's going to come back in the Jockey Club Gold Cup. And I did a follow-up story, and not over the last 30 years, I believe, is unaccounted for. 1994 is the last horse to win both the Whitney and Jockey Club Gold Cup in the same year, which I found astonishing. Yeah. It took 30. That's been 30 years since that happened, and maybe equally as astonishing, only 9 horses have even tried it since. And I know that the races have been run differently. We used to be down at Belmont Park. Now this is here at Saratoga. So they either choose not to run in between the Whitney and a Breeders' Cup like White Barrier last year, or they go somewhere else. But he's going to try to do something that hasn't been done in 30 years.
Yeah, they would seem like 2 logical steps on the handicap division trail. The test Saturday annually, I think a lot of people's one of their favorite races up here, and Ways and Means lives up to the 3-5 favoritism. And it sounded like Chad is going to stick with the sprints for Ways and Means.
Yeah, I could see her running in a race like the Gallant Bloom. Naira has not released its Belmont and Aqueduct Fall Stakes schedule yet. I think maybe hopefully soon, since the meet is going. But I would think that might be a sensible race. You're just looking for a stepping stone to get to the Breeders' Cup.
He said one sprint in between.
Yeah, so I don't necessarily think it necessarily matters where she runs. Now, this victory was made a little bit easier, perhaps a lot easier, by the paddock scratch of Brightwork, who flipped in the paddock last year. Brightwork beat Ways and Means in the Spinaway. That's the race where Spinaway got hurt in, and she hadn't come back. She didn't run again until the Gulf Street Park Oaks. But I think Chad has found her whole card here. The 1-turn, 7/8 type of race is probably what she's going to be really good at. And she beat a nice filly in Emery there, the number 1 horse. So solid performance, but it was a little bit easier when Brightwork came up.
And I was intrigued to see what Brightwork was going to do off the layup, having run so well up here for John Ortiz last year. But we should let people know. She flipped. It was reported she was okay, but that's a rule that if they fall like that in the paddock,
Again, more for
automatic.
safety and precaution, and she'll live to fight another. I think she'll probably pop up in the PARXS later in the week, so we'll get to see her.
And I just wanted to hit on a couple Sunday stakes because the Queen's MG backs up her win at $90 earlier in the meet. And I had Safi on, and we talked about that, and I said, man, that was a crazy price given that she was the favorite in the race before and had trouble. And he was like, yeah, and I wasn't quite sure what I would get coming out of that race where she had the trouble. And then he wasn't quite sure what he would have in the Adirondack. Well, now he's sure. The Queen's MG look.
Yeah, she was pretty solid again. And who knows? There's a lot of horses that didn't run their races during the Belmont Stakes Racing Festival that you'll probably see have run since. And I don't know why that is. I can't explain it. What in the Literal, I think, has run twice back since that race and hasn't run very good. But the Queen's MG has turned out to be a legitimate horse. And she runs by these horses pretty convincingly here. And I don't know how great a field this was, but this is what she's running. I'm not going to knock them because
sharp margin's 9 here.
This is what she's beating them, and she's beating them the right way. Yeah. And will the competition get tougher? I'm sure it will. But so should she, or so could she. And when you start winning by 9, you raise your game.
Is he going for the sweep? Is he going for the triple?
I think it's quite possible, which is another thing we haven't seen in a long time. And now it's even more spaced out, so you have the opportunity. His comment to me before the race about running in the Adirondack, the Adirondack was, look, I'm ahead of the game right now. I don't need them to catch up, so I don't need to wait. So maybe someone else will catch up. We've seen some smart maiden winners the day after, or that same card, Quiet Side, for John Ortiz, who's having an interesting meet, shall we say. He's 4 for 6 on the track, and he's had some weird things, the bright work thing, the scratch because of the weight thing, and it's been an interesting meet for Mr. Ortiz. But his horses that have been made it to the races are running lights out.
Yeah, and I wanted to show one more, and I've shown this. I've shown this a couple times over the last couple of days, just because for me this was really one of the better performances. And I mentioned it a couple of times already. It was fun also because it demonstrated the crowd. Next comes down the stretch in the marathon, and the crowd goes berserk. And when it comes back to the winner's circle, they just appreciated a great performance. And Next is obviously just a superstar at the marathons.
It's, you talk about horses or people who do certain things better than other people do certain things. This horse does the marathon better than anybody else does anything else in racing. And it's a niche type of thing, and we don't have. There's basically a set schedule for these types of horses. I don't think they'll get these races to fill anymore. Like there's a race. I know there's a race at PARX called the Greenwood Cup. It's $200,000. I think if they elect to run there, I don't think there'll be a race. I don't think if you're not running for enough money for second to make it worth your while to go down there. So I think that's going to play a role in the fact that they will probably have to run in something, whether it's the Jockey Club Gold Cup or something on turf at Keeneland, which is what's been talked about, because he was supposed to run on turf for these folks. They claim that he was entered in the Cape Henlopen at Delaware Park on the turf. It came off, and he ran like this, and he's been running like that 8 out of the last 9 starts at these marathon distances. But he was meant to be. They claimed him with the turf in mind. They didn't know what they had. Now they know what they have. Now when they try to find out if they really have something special in terms of can he do it at 1.25 miles. And I hope they give him the opportunity, whether it's the Jockey Club Gold Cup or something on turf. I just hope they give it a shot, because I don't think that Greenwood Cup, with him in it, it doesn't fill. With him out of it, it's probably a decent betting race.
I've talked about that dilemma the last couple of days, and I said I could come down on either side of it. Jockey Club Gold Cup and give that a shot, or just stick. He's a gelding and just stick and make the money with the marathon events. But I hadn't thought about that. You may be right. Maybe they don't go.
I don't think
maybe
they fill.
It's not an option.
I mean, this one had 5. One was scratched because he was running today, Nimitz class, and one was pulled up at in the first turn. So, and the other 2, they're just not. I just don't think they go in these races anymore, because again, they're not big enough to say, okay, if I run second, that's a good payday. It's not.
Yeah. All right, let's do a little preview, and again, with some grass coming up over a rainy weekend, we'll just kind of stick to a few of the dirt races here. Today we have the John Morrissey. I pulled up a replay, and I went back to the Affirmed Success a couple of races back for Rotney. And to me, that's the key. We're going back today again to a state bred race. The Affirmed Success was one of those state-bred races. Rodney seems to do very well against the New York breds. But what are your thoughts on the Morrissey today?
Yeah, like I tried to get cute yesterday and think that Sterling Silver was not going to be up to the task at a mile, and he had an informed smoking hot kitty, and I was just totally wrong. And I'm not sure what you're showing here, but Rodney is just the class of this field. Just a note, Sheriff Bianco is supposed to scratch and run tomorrow. At least that's what Linda had told me the other day. Lightman's a little bit interesting. Won 3 in a row, 4 out of 5, but just doesn't seem to have the numbers that would make him competitive against Rodney. So, and Mike Maker's having an absolutely tremendous meet, 14 wins, I believe it is, second in the standings. So I think it's probably Rodney at a short price.
Yeah, that was not Rodney because he was not on the grass last night. All right, let's shift our attention now to tomorrow. We'll take a look at the Evan Shipman. Comes out of the chute. And I pulled up a replay of the commentator going back to June 9th. It's going to be number 2, Drake's Passage, getting it done. Subsequently, has run 3rd and 6th in an off-the-turfer last time at 2-5 up here at Saratoga. But I kind of keyed on this race 3 back in the commentator. What are your thoughts?
Well, he's going to scratch. He was so bad last
really?
week. Yeah, he
okay.
he ran 6 days ago and 2 other than off the turf.
It was. I had.
It was a terrible performance, and he is not going to run.
I should have realized.
But the horse that's chasing him home, Donegal Surges, is going to run and would have probably a big chance because he's about 12 lengths clear of the rest of the field in running second. So he's got a live chance in there. I'll tell you, maybe it's time for a fresh face in a horse like Bank Frenzy, making his first start for Rudy Rodriguez off a private sale for LSU Stables. The horse has run and won in the slop before. I think they bought him and they were planning to run him earlier than this, but maybe there was an issue or something. So they've got him ready here and ready to go. And I think he's an interesting new face in this group here. So I would, and the fact that he's proven in the slop, I'd take a shot with Bank Frenzy.
Sheriff Bianco with the wet track record is interesting.
Sheriff, yes, has a good wet track record, but the wins are lacking lately. 1 for 14, I believe, last year, and 0 for 3. So 1 for his last 17. That's, to take a shorter price on a horse that just doesn't like to win as much, I'd go against.
A little bit later on the card tomorrow, the Union Avenue. I had pulled up a replay of Can't Hurry Love, but I read your article. Can't Hurry Love is on the way out there. So Cara's Time to me is intriguing. Cousin Christie coming up from Gulfstream and moving into the Phil Serpy barn. A little bit intriguing as well. What do you see in the Union Avenue?
Well, to me, it was a 2-horse race between Can't Hurry Love and Lilu. And now that Can't Hurry Love is out, I think it's all Lilu. I know talking to Ignacio Correas earlier in the week about this filly. This was before we knew about Can't Hurry Love. He was looking forward to the rematch, and now he's he doesn't have to worry about her there. So I think this filly ran second last time, a decent second. Didn't have the greatest trip in the world in terms of, at least according to Correas, and so I think she's going to be tough to beat. Of the 2 Serpy horses, I think Security Code, just because she has a very good record in Saratoga, 4 starts, 2 wins, 2 seconds. She really likes Saratoga. How much does she like the slop, which she's almost certain to get tomorrow? That's a little bit of a question. Cousin Christie has been training in Florida, running mostly in open company and running against a nice filly in Bluefield. So she probably deserves a shot here. Just shipped up here, as you said. She's been here about a week, 10 days, and she will stay, though, in New York with Serpy is what I'm told.
Okay. And finally, again, with the situation with the weather, I didn't look at the turf races necessarily on Saturday, but I did pull up the Saratoga Special. Grade 2 event, couple $100,000 up for grabs, 6.5 furlongs for the 2-year-olds. Pulled up a replay going back to Ellis Park on July 5th. I thought first result for Owen Hardy coming off of that victory was going to be intriguing, but I could point to 2 or 3 others. And that's the situation with these 2-year-old races where they only have 1 or 2 starts. What did you see in the Saratoga Special? Yeah,
this is a tough race because you've got, I think, my colleague Mike Wells told me that it's maiden winners from 8 different racetracks are showing up here, and you have a maiden who might actually wind up going off the favorite in Touchy, who was scratched because they had sent him off the grounds for a spa or something like that. This is a nice performance here. The track looks sealed and muddy there a little bit, and wouldn't be surprised if we're sealed and muddy or sloppy tomorrow. So he's got that going for him, first resort. On the outside, Dale Romans has a nice horse who, first got 2 starts under his belt. First time he was 3rd and then or 7th, I'm sorry, and then came back with a nice win, going 6 furlongs by looks like 4 lengths there. So maybe outside, keeps her face clean a little bit, gets a nice stalking trip. I could see Keep It Easy getting the job done, but it's a pretty wide open race because, like I said, you've got them coming from all over the place.
I didn't even notice that until you mentioned it, but yeah, there's horses that broke their maiden at eight
different racetracks. It's just, and here they come. And I don't know that any of them are at Saratoga. To be honest,
crazy. Dave, appreciate the visit as always. Again, you can find Dave's work in the Daily Racing Forum, drf.com, part of the workout team. And again, highly recommend, particularly up here at Saratoga with the 2-year-old races and whatnot, the workout report. You guys all do a great job there, but appreciate the visit.
Thanks, Seth.
We'll talk again.
You got it.
All right. She's in the house. She's in the green room. Jessica Paquette will join us in just a moment. Stay tuned. Racing Across America continues. Capital OTB is now streaming live on Roku. The RTN Racing channel on Roku lets you watch OTB TV live through your Roku device or your Amazon Fire Stick, rather than being limited to computers and mobile devices, which means you can now watch OTB live wherever you are. Simply open Roku, scroll to find the RTN channel, then click on OTB TV. OTB TV on Roku. Try it now.
Come on.
I want sales reports on my desk by Monday.
Whoops. My bad.
Love racing? RTN brings you every live simulcast on your home television, plus live video streaming and race replays on your PC and mobile devices. To order, visit rtn.tv. RTN, a breed apart.
Saudi Crown. He hits the top of the stretching command. Magic tap coming up the rail. Reincarnate spinning his wheels. Needs to do a bit better. Dreamlike is flying late. Il Miracolo with a shot. Saudi Crown has led every step of the way. Can he take them home? There's a 16th left to go. Saudi Crown on the outside. Dreamlike flying, but it's a coronation for Saudi Crown in the Pennsylvania Derby. He gets the win over Dreamlike, and a photo for the Shodo. Final time 1:50.3. Hold all tickets until race 13. The Pennsylvania Derby is official. We're really horrible.
Welcome back to Racing Across America on this Thursday morning. There was the call of last year's Pennsylvania Derby, Saudi Crown, the call by Jessica Paquette. And we have Jessica Paquette in. Good morning.
Hi, good morning. It's always great to be in Saratoga and get to see so many friends. We're on the PARX break, so I am, of course, just going to other racetracks.
And we just saw the call for last year's Pennsylvania Derby. I'm guessing first grade one call?
The Cotillion, the race right before.
Oh,
was my
okay.
first grade one. But yeah, those were the biggest races I had ever called.
And down at PARX, and we are enjoying your calls. We're in most of the season, other than our time up here, we're in the studio down in Albany, and so we're watching 4 different tracks, and PARX is often part of the mix, and enjoy your calls. How do you enjoy making the calls.
It is so much fun, and kind of the more comfortable I get, and I appreciate the support from the team at PARX very much. It's just so fun to get to tell 10 stories a day. No two races are the same. You never know what's going to happen, and it's a lot of fun.
Do you have a preference of a race you like to go? A sprint, longer races?
Longer.
Oh.
I much prefer. My nightmare is 7 furlongs from the chute in November when it's dark and there are 12 horses and it's raining. That's my least favorite.
The longer races that Frank the other day, it might have been the next race. A, it was a short field, and B, it was a marathon. But there's obviously a lot of filler to put on those marathon races.
I thought he did such a great job with that call, because honestly, you think easily like 3 or 4 horses, that'll be so easy, but then you wind up having to fill the blank space. And then he made that call compelling and interesting from the entire time. There are certain announcers that I listen to and I feel like I learn something as an announcer every time, and Frank's one of them. And
I think the average person doesn't even think about that. But yeah, you have a short field in a marathon. You know, you can only go through the field so many times, and you have to add a little something.
And he added color in such a way that I was so compelled by that race.
No, it's fun. Big races like Pennsylvania Derby or the Cotillion, do you kind of play out how it might play out in your head and come up with a little something maybe?
I try not to, kind of in general, because then you get locked into how you think the race is going to go, and that can really make you look a little bit silly as the announcer if you're really anticipating too much. I mean, I don't want to be surprised by anything, so I have a basic idea, but I try not to have anything planned. Yeah.
But again, we listen to you when we're in the studio and doing good work down at PARX, and I pulled up a shot from your Twitter feed because you are on the PARX hiatus, and you had the beach blanket, and I was very envious. If you tell me it was in Maine, I'll really be envious.
No, it was in Plum Island, which is in Newburyport, kind of a town over from where I live in Massachusetts, but still a very nice beach. I'm very much enjoying a couple of weeks off, and you can tell where my heart always is. The best racetrack giveaway ever was that Suffolk Downs Beach Channel.
Beach towel would be a pretty good giveaway.
Monmouth did one this year for Haskell Preview Day. That's also a good one, too.
They give away tote bags up here and umbrellas, and we've had caps over the years. I think of it. Beach towel is pretty good. I always say my worst racetrack giveaway, a few years ago, we were down in Florida covering the Florida Derby. So Pompano was still going. So I went over to Pompano. They gave away a cake plate. And I didn't even know what it was. It was like a big plastic thing, and they gave it to me. And I'm like, yeah, it's a cake plate. Like the racetrack go so
I can't think of the typical racetrack patron as a big baker.
Or wanting to carry that thing around that was my low end on the racetrack giveaways.
Though I was told on Twitter to get back in the kitchen once. So
nice. Let me also hit on again, I'm envious with the vacation on. When do you guys go back?
We go back August 19th, a week from Monday. Then we have a full week of racing, Smarty Jones Day on that Saturday.
Preview day.
Yeah, and that should be a fun day. Then Pennsylvania Day at the races the week after. So we're kind of back with a lot going on.
And I asked you when you sat down and you verified September 21st, the big day, and it's late. Stakes laden, obviously Pennsylvania Derby Cotillion, but a big day down there on the 21st.
It's a huge day. I'm really looking forward to that. And the most fun thing is watching all of the Triple Crown races and then these latter half of the year 3-year-old races and being like, who do I get to call? Which one's coming for my race?
And it may help sort things out because the 3-year-old picture so far has been wide open. Dornock now has kind of with the Haskell win, maybe asserting himself a little bit, but I still think by the time Travers and Pennsylvania Derby, they'll help sort things out.
It's a really fun group of horses. I mean, with no big superstar, I think both as a handicapper and horse player and a fan, it's just an exciting group, and you have to think a bunch of them run at 4.
Yeah. Looking forward to both of those big races. And it may be a situation where they don't define themselves until they face Older right at the end of the year, but it's certainly been intriguing so far on the 3-year-old side. Pennsylvania Derby will help to sort that out. Let me touch on something a little more serious. I saw this when you originally did it just 2 or 3 weeks ago. It was on social media. I pulled up a little of the video of the Jockey Forum on Mental Health that you moderated the panel. And I applaud the guys who went and sat down and talked about it. It's become kind of an issue that has come to the forefront really just the past year, maybe year and a half. But again, if folks want to find this, you go to the PARX channel on YouTube, and you'll be able to pull it up. And it's worth a watch and a listen. Talk a little bit about the impetus, what brought it about.
So I really appreciate you helping me promote this. This is a thing that is near and dear to me. Some people know I broke my back in a riding accident almost 3 years ago. And for me, the physical struggles were significant. I couldn't walk for a few days and then was in a back brace for about 4 months. And for me, it was the time in a back brace on my couch for 4 months. It was really hard for me. And that got me thinking and talking to a lot of jockeys because they were the ones who understood what I was going through. I just found I was depressed. I'm a very active person. So being so inactive was really, really difficult. And it was jockeys that helped me the most, both with physical tips and ways to kind of fight the boredom and fight the sads. And this was a way for me to try to give back to the help that they gave me. But it's also just such an issue for these men and women. And it was a cause near and dear to me. And I appreciate that PARX really gave me the creative free reign to put this project together. And I really admire the men and women that were so candid in the interview. It's a hard thing to talk about. And it went better than I could have hoped for. And I hope everyone, I know it's long, it's about 30 minutes long, but take some time and watch it. And it kind of gives you a little bit of a perspective into what these folks go through before, after, during races. And another thing that was important to me was to showcase men and women at a smaller track and a smaller circuit, because they don't have the same resources that some of the guys that are topping the standings nationally do.
And it's really kind of almost a different career for the guys.
The
guys here, and 4 other tracks around the country, maybe, as compared to the majority of tracks around the country. They're playing for different purse levels and whatnot. But it was interesting, great idea. As I say, it's come to the forefront the last year and a half or so. If you go to the PARX YouTube channel and then click on that videos link, it'll be in that list there. It's worth a watch. And so, nice job there. Certainly. Also pulled up a little video. Again, grabbed a few seconds from your Twitter feed. You are a show person on the jump scene, and I know you've been bouncing around this summer. I ran into you a little bit earlier here, and I said, "Come on over tomorrow morning." You said, "No, I'm out doing a horse show." So you've been jumping around. How's it been working out so far this summer?
Oh, it's been great. We were supposed to actually go to Vermont, which is about an hour away in Manchester, in a horse show, and I was going to stay here, horse show all week, but the weather has put a damper on a lot of people's plans. And kind of much like in racing, when you get disappointed that something comes off the turf, we also get disappointed. For me, the footing is good. We compete over a synthetic surface, so it does take water a little bit better than a conventional dirt surface does. But I'm always a little hesitant when it gets too wet, too sticky. Like, we have to protect our horses. We are the ones that advocate for them. My horse, Emilio, also known as Yellow, he would say yes to anything I asked of him. So it's my job to say, maybe this isn't the right time for him. There'll be another horse show. There'll be another day. But we're having a great summer.
How long have you been showing horses?
I've been showing horses off and on I showed as a kid a little bit and then took a lot of time off and then once I became an adult with grown-up money, I could do it again. So I got my first off the track thoroughbred about 15 years ago. That's What a Trippy. And we competed for quite a few years. He wound up being kind of a horse of a lifetime for me and taught me a lot about being a horse person. And then a couple of years, I had my accident, broke my back, and then Trippy had retired by that point, so it was time to find a new horse. And I got Emilio, who is a half Clydesdale, half thoroughbred. I've had him for almost 2 years, and he's just wonderful.
When you get a horse like that, do you look for a horse that already has had the training to do that, or do you have to go through the entire training process to get them out to a show?
I've done both. So with What a Trippy, I kind of made him up myself with the help of a trainer. We did, he came right off the racetrack. So he learned everything right along with me. And that is a really rewarding process. But now, kind of as I'm a little bit older, I don't hit the ground quite as well as I used to. And after my accident, I wanted a horse that was a little bit more experienced. And Emilio knows more than I do. He's 15. He has been there. He has done that. And he is more than happy to do it again.
Yeah, very good. And I will also I asked you if your show horse was the bad horse, because if you follow Jessica on Twitter, every once in a while, the bad horse is eating better than I am. Donuts and Pop-Tarts and like I say, the bad horse does okay.
Trippy was, and I call him the bad horse as a term of love, but he was hard. He still is. He's 20 now. But every step of his training and his showing, it was always on his terms. He has a very strong sense of self, a lot of opinions, and he is never shy. There were days I would leave a lesson or a horse show feeling like I couldn't spell horse, let alone ride one.
And as they say, it's worth following the Twitter feed just to see what the horse is going to have for dessert that day. When you sat down, interesting, and I saw this, I think, on your Twitter feed as well. I didn't realize that you're a marathoner, and there's like a hierarchy of there's a certain, 4 or 6 that are, and you're putting another check mark. You're going to go to Berlin in a few weeks.
There are 6 world majors, which are the domestic, Boston, New York, and Chicago. I've done all 3 of those. Now I'm checking the first international one off my list. That's Berlin in September, the week after the Pennsylvania Derby. So, a nice casual taper week the week before. Nothing stressful at all. Then I go to Berlin, and then the next 2 will be London and Tokyo that I'm hoping to check off in the next couple of years. But I'm running Berlin to raise money for Alzheimer's research.
Oh, nice.
When you are very slow, like I am, you have to get a ticket by a charity. So I'm happy to raise some money for a good cause.
Very nice. Very good. So tweet that out, and I will alert people as well to that. All right, let's take a look. I said when you come in, take a look at a couple of races, and we'll give a couple ideas for today. The stakes race this afternoon. I thought that was an intriguing event.
I think so.
Race number 2.
Race number 2, number 6, looms boldly. Brad Cox, 10 Strike Racing, named after our friend PTF. Yeah. And I like this horse's last race. He was a good second behind Subrigid, who has turned out to be a really, really nice sort of horse. Yeah. And he's shown he can run against this kind of stakes company. I wonder if he gets a little bit loose on the lead on the outside. The track, very curious how it plays today. Everything's drying out a little bit temporarily on the turf. How about that?
I said that earlier. Gorgeous day, and we're on the turf.
Enjoy it while you have it.
Yeah. But yeah, looms boldly with a nice name. Marcel Graham naming for Peter Thomas Fornatal. So interesting there. You said in the 5th, you had an interesting. I kind of defaulted to the favorite in there, Aspen Grove. But we were talking when we handicapped on the handicapping show. Pace-wise, it may be interesting. If somebody has the potential to go out there and maybe steal it, but you said you had maybe a clever idea in the 5th.
I mean, maybe not that clever as I'm going with a horse from off the pace, off that big layoff, the 3 Avenue Nile for Christophe Clement. Like this one off the layoff. I think kind of interesting. I think can handle a turf course with a little bit of softness to it as well. But I'm just trying to be clever, trying to find a way to beat the favorite.
I don't blame you because I don't think the favorite is invincible. As I say, I kind of defaulted there. But I don't think the favorite is invincible by any means. Jessica, we appreciate the visit this morning. Again, I tried to get you in a couple of Belmont at Saratoga. You were here quickly for that weekend as well. And then you were doing the horse show, but you were free this morning. So I'm glad we got you in. Enjoy the rest of the vacation.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good luck in Berlin. And send my best to the bad horse with the next. That's
from you.
I'll send a Pop-Tart to him. Yeah. Because I think it's been about 30 years since I've had a.
They're kind of good. Some of them are kind of good.
Yours look pretty good. I was about to say I don't think I've had one since I was a kid, but man, they look like they've upped the skill level with the Pop-Tarts.
Occasionally, I steal a bite, and I feel like they taste like chalk. So not all of the flavors are great, but the blueberry ones are good.
All right, I'll keep that in mind. Appreciate the visit.
Thank you.
All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, shot a little video beginning of the week over at the Facing Tipton sale. When we come back, we'll take a look at that. And Kevin Cox, the Brooklyn Cowboy, up as well with some thoughts for this afternoon. Stay tuned.
Why just watch the races when you can be in the middle of the action? For nearly 20 years, Bonaventure Stables' share-based ownership program has made thoroughbred ownership affordable for the everyday fan. Ownerships of 5 and 10% are now available on a nice selection of horses. As a partial owner with Bonaventure Stables, you'll enjoy all the benefits afforded every owner. Visit with your horse in the private stable area. Greet the trainers and jockeys in the paddock. And when your horse wins, savor the moment in the winner's circle at Saratoga, Belmont, Aqueduct, or wherever you bring home the prize. Based in historic Saratoga Springs, Bonaventure Stables has been training winners and creating memories since 2005. Learn more, see available horses, and meet our team at bonaventurestables.com.
Welcome back to Racing Across America. Joined now by our friend Kevin Cox, the Brooklyn Cowboy. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Very good. And let's kick right off. DePaula play of the day. We're putting some money in the bank for the folks.
Yeah, we're at the halfway point this year, and with eight selections, we have 3 wins, 1 tractor, 3 places, and 2 showings. So we've hit the blow with every start. I think we're up about 40% in our bets so far.
And like I say, there's a nice chunk of change in the pool for the folks who made the bankroll team.
Fridays and Saturdays.
Tomorrow we'll look for you to jump back in.
Somebody asked me, why do you always select the earlier races? I said, because with the rains up here, if we had selected turf races, 4 players would have gotten their money back already just on the scratches. So I like to play it safe that way.
No, I hear you. When you sat down, we were talking a little bit. You've got some notes coming up on Twitter that you tossed out on people, and I'm intrigued to hear. You only hinted at it, but you have a Clooney reference.
Yeah, I like to do a funny lead-in to get people to watch the show, and I say tomorrow we're going to discuss my favorite dip, the rumors of highlight coming to Saratoga County. Why are you laughing? And
I would like some highlight here.
And why George Clooney is a terribly overrated actor. And there was a couple of guys on Twitter. Jonathan, his name is. He says, I want to hear your view on this because I'm a big George Clooney guy. And I'm like, well, I already got 1 extra viewer today, so that's good. All right, I want a 10%. I want a 10-cent raise today.
Are you saying this is clickbait?
A little bit. Well, the first thing is my favorite tip used to be onion, but my palate has become a little more delicate through the years, so I've morphed over to vegetable. But here's the tip I'll tell you. It happened by accident one day. Sour cream is just too expensive, or you can't get the fat-free. I started using fat-free yogurt in my dip, and it tastes even better than regular dip. So that's my dip tip for the day.
All right.
It's fat-free plain yogurt. And as for the highlight rumors coming to Saratoga, they've had all forms of gambling here through the years, the casinos and harness and the thoroughbreds. And there are rumors that they're coming to Saratoga, but unfortunately, I started those. So, yeah, I guess that was a little bit of clickbait. But
is highlight even in Florida? Do they still
Yeah, there's one in Miami, a smaller court with a glass wall and a softer ball. And the traditional one that I go to every year in Dania Beach, which had shuttered down, and then they came back like within a year later because of popularity. Yeah.
And there was one in Connecticut for a while too, right?
Bridgeport, Milford. I missed those.
Yeah.
And actually, there are solid rooms of 2 more dog tracks that are going to open up within the next year down in, I believe, Alabama and maybe Mississippi. George Quinn on Twitter is the guy to go to for that, which is good because that was down to 2 tracks also.
Yeah. I used to like the Greyhound. I liked Sarasota Kennel Club. I used to hang out there. They had a great buffet. You would think buffet at a dog track, but it was solid. They would cut prime rib, and it was good.
I like your prime rib cutting motion there.
That?
And as for the George Clooney reference, hey, all right, Jonathan, wherever you are, name one George Clooney movie where he was the lead actor, and it was a great movie.
I'd have to think about it though.
We don't have that kind of time because let me tell you, I looked at a list of his 35 quote top movies.
Really?
And there's nothing that you want to say. A Perfect Storm was a very good movie, sure, but that was a little bit of an ensemble cast as well.
I'm not even going with I don't know if I was
terribly
intrigued enough
overrated.
to see that.
Terribly overrated actor.
It didn't seem appealing to me.
All the Ocean's 11 movies, that was just an ensemble cast. If he has to lead a movie, the movie's dead in the water. Sorry, Jonathan. So that's my clickbait for the day.
All right. I'm going to have to go look, though. I'm
Dips,
verify that.
Highlight, and Clooney.
Verify that. I'm not sure whether I'm into any of them because I don't like yogurt. Highlight, that would be fun but I don't see that happen. But and Clooney, I'm going to have to look. But off the top of my head, I guess I'm kind of with you on that one. All right, let's jump in and take a look at some of the action for this afternoon. 5th race today, optional claimer, non-winners of 2 other than marathonish 1 3/8 miles. I defaulted to Aspen Grove, but we talked on the handicapping show this morning. In this field, I don't see any speed, but if somebody went out and took control early, they might take them all the way around. I think they're going to be bunched up most of the way, but what do you think in the 5th?
Well, it's funny. You described the race as being an optional claimer, but if somebody hadn't looked at the specifics of the race and you said it was a grade 3,
yeah,
who would deny it?
115,000.
Yeah, you have 3 solid grade 2, grade 3 runners in here. And you mentioned Aspen Grove, but that was my second selection. I landed on Be Your Best to 6, 2 for 2 on the inner, one of the 2 horses with an abundance of class in the race. Gamely runner-up finish in the lone start with IRAD on against fillies. Discount the one when she was going against the boys. Now, you mentioned the speed factor, the dearth of speed. I had written down in my copious crazy man notes. Decent morning move, maybe a bit closer to the pace today with a race devoid of speed.
Yeah.
There's a nice breeze of 1 minute and 3/5. Then you go back 2 moves before that. There was a 9th best of 87 move. And so maybe they're going to try to get this one a little bit more forwardly placed early. If you go back to that Santa Anita effort with IRAD, he had him on the front end that day. So who's to say he's not going to be pumping right out of the gate?
Yeah.
So Be Your Best on top. Aspen Grove second, obviously because of the class. In the money in both starts, off a layoff on firm ground. But we'll need to find a seam late. That's not always a given. So when 6-1 and 7 LS Forte, my third choice, don't sleep on this one. Got the second best last out figure in the race. And that's the kind of thing where you can look at afterwards and say, oh, how did I leave this horse out of the exacta? Second best fig, double-digit odds. Notorious nibbler, though. So I'm inclined just to leave in the unders. So 6, 1, 7. And it should be noted, one of the 3 races we were going to analyze, I was sitting in the car. Thank God I got here early. And I saw there was a scratch in the first race, a key vital scratch. So I had to scramble to look for another race, which will be our next one.
Very good. The 8th race this afternoon. Plain vanilla claimers, the tag's 40,000. The trip, 3/4 mile.
I went with number 2, Good Juju. That's kind of one of my little mantras. According to DRF Formulator, Jacobson is 3 for 7 with mid-level dirt stock, who scored less than 22 days ago. I'd been hard on Vasquez's capabilities down at Aqueduct or Belmont or whatever the hell you want to call it. He did not look good down there coming into this meet, and I was not confident in playing him, especially on the turf. But he's proven me wrong. He's really finishing very strongly. He's riding some live horses for Jacobson, who probably kept a couple of horses in reserve while he was serving suspension, so that way he can get the wins up here. You're not going to get 8-1 because we have 2 scratches in the race. You're 2.5 scratches, consider half of the entry. So you're probably going to get maybe 5-1, 6-1 on this one. Second choice, number 9, Radical Right. In the money 2/3 of the time. So right off the bat, a logical, where am I? I'm right there. A logical unders candidate. But here's the thing, was claimed for 82 starts back and is now in for half of that price. And what you need to do in a situation like this is calculate the winner's share of the price, less than 10% for the jockey fee, less than 10% for the trainer fee. Listen, I know Roddy Valenti can afford to lose a couple of dollars, but even with a win and a claim today, they lose at least $10,000 on this horse. So it would behoove you to take a look in the paddock, make sure everything's looking good. And you had to assume, if that's the case, he's going to be fully cranked up. Third choice, Pipes and Drums, solely for the fact that Saez had just looked terrible the first 2+ weeks of the meet, but he's really heating up a little bit. He's trying hard for all placings. His time clock in his head is a little bit better. So I have a feeling when you see him on double-digit odds going forward, but I hate that expression, going forward, moving forward. For the rest of the meet, toss him in because I think he's going to be trying really hard. 297 in race 8.
Al Stahl's having a great meet.
What's that?
Al Stahl, the trainer of Pipes and Dreams, is having a great meet. So, all right, let's move on to race number 10 today, the finale, the get-out race. See if you can get out with a little extra money. Optional claimer starter allowance going a mile on the turf. I went with Busy Morning in a race where I don't land with much confidence. It is a tepid pick. Be interested to see where you go in the 10th.
It's funny you describe it that way. I must have been looking at my notes again. I wrote on top several evenly matched runners signed on. So instead of overly examining them, trying to pick one, and most of them are similar prices, why wreck your head doing that when you could find somebody that's just outside the fringes a little bit at exponentially higher odds? And that's what we did with my best buddy and renter and longtime friend Jimmy Ferraro's More Mango, the number 10. I'd like to go back 3 starts to find something positive with the horse, because that's how you get paid. You don't get paid off the last start. You get paid off second and third starts back, if they can get back to that, obviously. 2 starts back, we turned off a layoff, nearly blew up the tote boards at 50-1. Jimmy had both halves of the entry that day, run 1-2. The Jimmy Ferraro $1,000 exacta, for Christ's sake. Holy mackerel. If you go back 2 starts, that buyer figure of 74 is exactly on par with the top runners that you're looking at here. So you have a bunch of horses, 73, 75. So why not take a horse that's going to be every bit at 20-1? I'm not saying you got to send it in, but if you're at least toss this one in your rolling bets, instead of just taking those similar 5-1 shots, 6-1 shots. The last time out, that was a real competitive allowance race. But look at the fractions: 25-2, 49-4 on a variant. That's an old timers expression right here that maybe only the 2 of us get, of 8, which means the track was playing pretty fast that day. Impossible to close into those fractions. And now she makes a third start off the bench. Jimmy says she's doing well in the mornings, but what trainer doesn't say that? Second selection is number 7, Sizzle. Like the versatility shown, synthetic or turf. Put an upwards arrow alongside the buyer's speed figures, as who knows where the ceiling is in that regards. And hit the board in all 3 starts to date. And, of course, Flavor Flav is our favorite pilot. Sweet Duchess, third choice, got up in time again, slightly weaker last time out. Kind of a meh selection for third. You don't want to leave the horse out, but you're not, like you said, you're not really sold. But who'd you land on?
I had Busy Morning on top at 5-1, but as I say, it's a kind of a tepid vote. Sweet Duchess, Goats on a Tree. But I have no arguments with More Mango. I think that one off the race 2 back is very playable in a field where I think you can take a little bit of a shot and have just as good of a confidence level as any of the other ones in here. I think it's a fun race. You mentioned the variants. Well, it's the speed. The first one was the speed rate, or is the speed rate.
Right.
Speed rating of variants. Folks that aren't familiar with that, it's right before the the final three are and that before buyer speed figures, that was a thing for people. I'm not sure it's still in there, and the variance to me probably is more usable these days. The speed rating, I think, is a little bit archaic.
Basically, the variant is if you see like a 3 to a 12, that means the track was hard or fast. If you see like a turf course with like a 32, you can look and you'll see that the course was likely yielding or a deep good or soft that day. So that's good to compare a horse's chances in that race. And More Mango had no chance whatsoever.
Like I say, the variance, I think, still has a little bit of relevance. The speed rating, wasn't it? And then I think they tweaked it a little bit, but I think originally, if it was a 100, they tied the track record, I think. And then every fifth of a second.
Where's Momino? Where is he? He would know the year it happened. All right. The guy's got a lot of Mary Lou Henner to him. He would know. Let me tell you, they did it. And, he would lean back in the chair like this. He said, I think it was 1978. They said, you know what? 100 is the track record. I remember it was a Wednesday. It was a Wednesday.
He would nail. Yeah, you're right. He would be on it. Just before I let you go, I want to mention Sunday. At whatever $7. It was no $90, but the Queens MG followed up the nice win. You were on the Queens MG on opening day with the $90 winner, so that was a nice call there. But didn't get the same odds for the folks. But man, she looked spectacular on Sunday.
Amazing, and also we didn't land on it that day. I mean, recently, but Disco Dino has come back and is running on what the hell column am I up to? Saturday. And you're still getting like 5-6 to 1 on the horse morning line. So we ended up landing on that one, not because we're married to it, because we had that monster $72 winner. But
what was it? Was it the very next day, Disco Dino, after the Queens MG?
I believe it was. I believe it was the next day.
I said to you, I texted you, being a Seinfeld fan, I said, you got to do Costanza, leave on a high note after a couple days like that. That was a great start to the
It's a fickle sport because I'm cooling down a little bit because of all the off the turf races, and I can't put the same, energy into it. And on the morning of, I can't do 3. I can't get up at 5 in the morning. I have to go into bed at 2.
I hear you.
I want to touch on those that read the column religiously here or on other websites know that every year on August 13th, I do an homage to my father, Walter J. Bijou Cox. I'll usually sit by his plaque on the day of, and I'll have a lobster dinner for my closest friends. This year it's a dark day, so the homage will be in the column on Sunday and on Wednesday also. So you get a double dip there, and I'll be sitting by his plaque both days. And usually what people do is they'll go by, they'll leave trinkets there, or they'll rub it for good luck. It's really kind of cool to keep his memory alive. So,
where is it?
Where's my father? He's buried.
The plaque.
The plaque is just beneath the old scratch board. Again, we're dating ourselves. You go in the building to the right of the band shell, as if you're walking out to the track apron. It's right there to the right. It's very unassuming with his picture holding a cardboard OTB ticket.
Oh, I remember those.
All right.
Did it have the letters on it?
It had the letters, and it was yellow with a little horsey on it and everything.
I still have a whole pile of those.
So I'll be there Sunday and Wednesday, which are quiet days anyway. And we mentioned, the article mentions the weather vane and him taking me right there to the top of the chute because that's as far as we would go. And, of course, all the little odds and ends that go with it. It's emotional. Even though I just basically replicate the column every year, I compel myself to read it only that time every year, so it still has the same effect.
Yeah, that's nice. I like the old
traditions,
The old ticket. For folks who don't remember, you would play the DEA triple because back in the day, I don't even know why they did that. Now I'd be curious to find out. When you went to OTB, you bet letters instead of numbers, and so if there was an entry, you'd have to really recalculate what letter goes to. And you also got the big long card.
Bad people play bad. The bad triple
or cab.
Yeah.
Yeah, funny. All right, Kevin. Appreciate the visit this morning. Good luck this afternoon, and we will talk again.
Roger that.
All right, I'll come back just quickly for a last segment because I do want to plug in that auction segment. So stay tuned. We'll be back in a minute to wrap things up on Racing Across America. Stay tuned.
Turn your love of racing into savings with equine discounts through the NTRA. Purchase through equine discounts and receive great savings on well-known brands like John Deere, Sherwin-Williams, Big Ass Fans, Farmers Insurance, and Office Depot. Join thousands of other equine members and support companies that give back to the sport we all love. Call 866-678-4289 or visit equinediscounts.com to start saving today.
Want to get your career in horse racing off to a fast start? Well, the University of Arizona's Racetrack Industry Program is your winning ticket. The Racetrack Industry Program has served as a springboard to some of the industry's most successful individuals, with a proven track record of job placement right out of college. If you want to earn a degree in the exciting horse racing industry, the Racetrack Industry Program can put you in the winner's circle.
What if there was a way to become a better horse player, to have a better knowledge of the game, to be more successful? What if there were a way to take what you've learned, what you know, and make better decisions, better choices? In horse racing, knowledge is a powerful tool. Race results and replays, past performances and live streaming, wagering from all your digital devices. Capital OTB. Become a better horse player.
Welcome back to Racing Across America. As promised, Monday night, I was over at the sales and just kind of ran around and just wanted to give folks a little bit of a flavor of the sales. Caught up with some folks, talked to Todd Shimkus. He is, of course, with the Saratoga County Chamber of Commerce and got a little feel for what the sale and sales week means to the Saratoga area. Joe Migliori, bloodstock agent, and talked to him a little bit about being a bloodstock agent, what a sale like this is to them and what they have to do. Tommy Bellhouse from West Point Thoroughbreds, and I said this sale has to be, have special place in the West Point memory because it was just a few years ago, right at the Saratoga sale, that West Point and company purchased Flightline. And so we talked to Tommy a little bit. And John Stewart, Resolute Racing, John becoming a prominent owner in the game just over the past really year or so, maybe even less than a year. But this was his first Saratoga sale, so we got some thoughts on that from John Stewart. All of that coming up. I'll come back and wrap up the show afterwards, but here are a few minutes from Monday night's sale right down the street, the Facing Tipton sale right here at Saratoga 2024.
So what I don't think people realize is the weekend of the Whitney and the sales is our biggest weekend in Saratoga Springs. So people are coming from all around the world, not just to watch the races, but to buy some horses as well. So this is an astronomical impact on our community.
Well, you get the first row on Charlton, William Son, Spikestown,
Yeah, look, it's a week where you're going to do a lot of work. You're going to look at a lot of horses. You're going to try to look at almost every horse in the sale. And, the select sale is a premium, product that you're obviously going to have to pay up for. So if you're going to purchase something here, you have to know that you're, making the right choice.
Obviously, this sale will always be the sale we remember most in West Point history. I mean, it's the sale we bought Flightline. I've done a few of their commercials where I say this is where you buy a dream, and it's true. It's a very select, high pedigree, special sale that, you're talking 240 hips. Where when you go to Keeneland and you're looking at 5,000, and obviously book 1 and book 2 at Keeneland are amazing, but this sale it's the shiny copper penny. This is where you come and you walk out of this place. You saw some magic happen earlier. A horse went for over $3 million. We were bidding on that. with Vinny Viola, who owns the Florida Panthers. We were underbidder, but Zidane and Bob Baffert bought it, and you're looking at just an amazing sale where every single horse has a great pedigree, and if it doesn't have a great pedigree, it's the most insane individual you've ever seen.
Look, I've been impressed with Saratoga since I came here, and we won the New York Stakes with Lydia, and so just really like everything about the atmosphere, really friendly, and it's kind of quaint, like atmosphere, and the kind of like old school like horse racing with all the fans and everything being out there. And the same thing here with the Fasig-Tipton facilities here. It's very compact versus like when you're at the Keeneland sale, it's really spread out and everything's happening in a couple days. And these are like the top quality horses. And so like, it's hard for me to get over like all these pedigrees that you see in these horses. And, it's just, you got to prioritize, and so we came in, started looking at 120 horses and got it down to like 10, and so it was really challenging to do that. So it's just real exciting. I think it's, represents all the good things about horse racing.
And again, that was Monday night. Tommy was saying when I talked to him, West Point hadn't yet gotten something at that point, but they subsequently did pick up one or more, I know, on Tuesday night. So they got in, and plenty of other people got in as well, as it was Boyd Browning in a subsequent press release from Fasig termed the sale remarkable. Top sales toppers you saw there, $3.4 million for a Not This Time yearling. The gross sales gross $82 million. The average $553,000. It was remarkable. A good word as you walked around the grounds on Monday and Tuesday. There were fireworks going off, and it was a lot of fun being over there. Always touted, if you've never gone to the sales, come on up next year, or the weekend for the New York bred sale, which has become popular as well. But if you're coming up next year, you can walk around the grounds. You saw all the people out in the backyard watching the horses in the the sales ring out there walking, and then in the pavilion as well. A lot of fun. There's a bar there, and you can enjoy that. So again, it's worth the visit. But as I say, Sunday and Monday, the New York bred sale. Sunday it'll kick off. I wrote the time down. Sunday kicks off at 7, and Monday daytime it'll kick off at noontime on Monday. So again, the New York bred sale has become popular over the past few years as well. And I remind people, the sales pavilion literally 2-3 blocks down East Avenue from the racetrack. So if you know where the racetrack is, you will easily find the sales pavilion. All right, I'm overtime, so I'm going to wrap things up for this edition of Racing Across America. Seth Merrow in here. Appreciate your visiting. Don't forget Clubhouse Racebook today. It's the Play the Board contest. Love to have you come down and enjoy that at the Racebook tomorrow. It's the Players Bankroll at the Clubhouse Racebook. That's a lot of fun as well. And Saturday, King of the Hill contest. All that coming up at the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue in Albany. Otherwise, if you're thinking about enjoying the racing and want to come up here, nice day. Temperature, very comfortable. Sun was out earlier. It's a little overcast now, but there's no weather expected that I know of. And we are on the turf for today. So it should be a fun day here at Saratoga. Love to see you up here as well. But we'd love to see you here tomorrow for more programming here on OTB TV. We'll be back tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. for the Handicapper Support, 10 a.m. for Racing Across America. We'll see you then.
You've been watching Racing Across America. Racing Across America has been brought to you by Pinnell's Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, Saratoga, just minutes from the track. And the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany. When you can't make it to the track, make it to the Clubhouse Racebook.
Also brought to you by Wizard Race and Sports.
So second last time out.